Good morning. Uh, Greetings, and thank you all so much for being here this morning. It's truly an honor to stand before each of you. Um, I'd like to begin with a story. It's not really actually a story, but something that is from my own life. So this was 15 years ago, probably around this time in the month of June. I left my home and I was on the train sitting at the window seat, and I was heading to the Bible college for the first time in my life, and I was planning to enter into full-time ministry. Like as I was sitting there, I was reflecting in my heart, Lord, I'm leaving behind so many things, my family, my education, and my future plans, all that I have dreamt that what I would like to do with my life. I'm leaving all of that, and I'm now coming to serve you. First time I was young, and I don't know anything. I was entering into a city, Hyderabad, and so I was like, it was a deep reflection because I was just quieting at that point, and I prayed to God, Lord, I'm leaving all this behind. And this is big for me. This is huge for me. And I'm making a sacrifice here. And I'm doing this for you. And the question that I had in my mind is, what will I get as a result of my decision? I'm sure each of us, those who are probably like, if you have a commitment to enter into a full-time ministry, each of us probably would have come to that point in your life. Lord, I'm leaving so many things, and I'm making a decision to serve you full-time. And so everything is like not settled. And so you're just leaving it there, and you never know what happens tomorrow. And so will it be worth it, or would everything go well, or like what will I get? I'm sure some of you, as you were traveling here to the seminary for the first time in your life, as you were making the decision to enter into full-time ministry, you may also have gone through a question like that in your heart, because this could be something big for you, because you're giving your life and compared to your friends' lives. No, they're all out there enjoying their lives, or they like to do a lot of things with their lives, but you left everything. And I'm sure each of you may have had that thought. And at that moment, like when I prayed, when I had that reflection in my heart, now today I sound, that sounds very immature, and that sounds like I don't think I should have prayed that. But at that moment, when I was quite young, the prayer sounded very reasonable to me. The reflection sounded reasonable to me. And it may make somewhat, in your heart also, it sounds fair, because you're doing something and then you expect something in return. Because that's how we function. For example, basically anything that you do here, there is a sense of fairness. I do something for you and then you do something for me. That's how everything works. For example, if you're here and then you don't pay fees, do you think you'll be here? No, right? And you go to a shop and then you try to get something, and so you give money and they'll give you something. Right? So there is always this sense of fairness, anything you do. And so even in this aspect also, we all have this sense of fairness. And so we come to God in our walk with God, and we expect a similar thing. I'm doing this for you, and then what will you do for me? Okay, and something was very similar that was asked even by Peter also in the Gospels. Peter had asked, probably as the voice for the disciples, he asked, Lord, we have left everything. What will we get? And the answer that Jesus provided is somewhat interesting. At the same time, it is unsettling. Because he says that you will have many things, but he also says, many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. And you could find that in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 19, the last few verses. And Jesus responds to that question of Peter, and he goes on to explain a parable, what he means by whatever he said. And so we're going to look at the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 20, verses 1 to 16. Gospel of Matthew, chapter 20, verses 1 through 16. And this is somewhat a lengthy parable, but it is a simple parable, okay? And I would like you to pay your attention. Um, Please take a look. Matthew chapter 20, verses 1 through 16. For the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard. And when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, and said unto them, Go you also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I'll give you. And they went their way. Again he went out about the sixth and the ninth hour, and did likewise. And about the 11th hour he went out, and found others standing idle, and said unto them, Why stand ye here all the day idle? They say unto him, Because no man hath hired us. He saith unto them, Go you also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, that shall ye receive. So when even was come, the Lord of the vineyard saith unto his steward, Call the laborers, and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first. And when they came that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny. But when the first came, they supposed that they should have received more. And they likewise received every man a penny. And when they had received it, they murmured against the good man of the house, saying, These last have wrought but 1 hour, and thou hast made them equal unto us, which have borne the burden and the heat of the day. But he answered one of them and said, Friend, I do thee no wrong. Didst not thou agree with me for a penny? Take that thine ease, and go thy way. I will give unto this last, even as unto thee. Is it not lawful for me to do what I will with mine own? Is thine eye evil, because I am good? So the last shall be first, and the first last, for many be called, but few chosen. I like to title my reflection as, it's a very simple, laborers in the vineyard, and it has a connection to the actual passage, and it has a connection to our very own lives. Okay, let's just have a word of prayer. Father, I want to thank you for this opportunity that I could stand here, and Lord, help each of us to reflect in our hearts. Lord, as I do this, I pray that you would strengthen me. Give me your words so that, Lord, I would rightly deal with your word. And, Lord, use this moments to create good reflection so that, Lord, we will be committed in our ministries. We want to thank you for this opportunity. In Jesus' name we pray. Okay. So once again, note, this parable was told in response to Peter's question a few verses in the last chapter of the 19th chapter of Matthew. And the question is, Lord, we have left everything. What will we get? And so Jesus explains that he says, this is what happens in the kingdom of heaven. So he's explaining this is how things will be in the kingdom. Okay, so I'm not getting into the intricacies of the non-dispensational, dispensational, or any other things, but I'm just straightly getting into the actual truth that is very, very simple presented there. So I'd like you just join with me as I kind of take you through this. Like the passage or the parable is quite simple. Okay, it doesn't really have a lot of complications there, but it is best understood only when you actually understand the context. Because a lot of the stuff there given in the parable doesn't really make much sense given if I'm understanding it from my perspective. Like, what kind of hiring is that? Morning, afternoon, evening, that kind of hiring is never done outside, right? And so a lot of these things actually are best understood when you actually understand the context. Okay, so let me just start from verse number 1. It says, For the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard. Okay, as I said, the kingdom of heaven, here I'm defining it just only as the rule of God, the sphere of God's rule. And so here we could see that the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man. So Jesus is explaining this is how things will happen in the kingdom of heaven as a response to Peter's question. He says that a man, like an householder, who went out early in the morning to hire laborers into his vineyard. Like early in the morning, that actually means before 6 o'clock. In the morning, because for the Jewish context, especially in the times of Jesus, the work hours began from 6 o'clock in the morning, and they work all the way till 6 o'clock in the evening. Almost 12 hours of work they used to do in those days. Okay, and so the landowner went out early in the morning, that is before 6 o'clock, because the workers actually begin the work early in the morning at 6 o'clock. And so where did he go to? He went to the marketplace. And so the landowners, along with their servants, would usually go out into the marketplace to hire the laborers from the marketplace. So this was a very common thing in the Jewish rural life. These laborers that were there in the marketplace were usually very poor, and probably have lost their land because they were not able to pay the tax to the Romans, and somehow they got into debt, and so they had to sell their land. And so these people have nothing really to do the farming of their own. And so they always depend on the daily labor for their survival. So what they would do, they would gather early morning at the marketplace with their tools so that somebody would hire them. Okay, so that somebody would hire them. And it is very, very important for them to be hired, because if they don't get hired, they will not have anything, because their survival was on a daily basis. They earn and they live with that. Okay, and so if they don't get work, that means probably they don't have anything to eat in the night. For their children of their family, they don't have anything to eat. So work at this point is very, very important for them. So the laborers, the workers actually gather there at the marketplace early in the morning to be hired. Okay, and so the landowner went out early in the morning to hire the laborers, and verse number 2 says, when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day, he sent them into his vineyard. A penny here was a translation of the Roman word a denarius. Okay, it was a silver coin, and a denarius was actually a typical pay to a Roman soldier. You need to understand the difference between the dignity of a Roman soldier and a common laborer. A Roman soldier is paid 1 denarius, okay, for their day's work, and a daily laborer can't really expect that much of pay for a day unless the owner actually is quite generous. Okay, and so typically these laborers were hired for a small fraction of the denarius, but here the text says when he had agreed with the laborers for a penny a day. That means the landowner agreed to pay them a denarius, which other landowners probably would not have paid. So it was quite a generous offer, and then he sent them into his vineyard. And then verse number 3 says, and he went out about the 3rd hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace. The 3rd hour means about 9 o'clock in the morning. And again verse number 4 says, and said unto them, go you also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right I'll give you. And they went their way. You need to understand, when they were hired at morning 6 o'clock, there was an agreement that I'll pay you 1 penny, 1 denarius. But here at 9 o'clock, when they were hired, there is no agreement on how much is going to be paid. Okay, because it was already late, and the laborers have no leverage here to bargain, to negotiate, because they probably would not have any work, and they would just have to go home empty-handed. So whatever is right, whatever is given, that's all sufficient. We don't have any problem. So here, there is no negotiation as such. They just agreed, and they just believed this landowner, and they went to work in the vineyard. Again, verse number 5. Again he went out about the 6th and 9th hour, and did likewise. And about the 11th hour he went out, and found others standing idle, and says unto them, why stand ye here all the day idle? They say unto him, because no man hath hired us. He saith unto them, go ye also into the vineyard, and whatsoever is right, that shall ye receive. So here the landowner comes back again at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and even at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And at 6 o'clock, the work hours end. Okay? And so he continues to hire even at 6 o'clock in the evening. And each time he goes to the market, he still finds people waiting there for a number of reasons. They were waiting, there's people there, probably they were weaker, because the stronger workers are hired early. Okay, or sometimes if people come late and they were just left behind. Okay, so for the number of reasons, they came late, or they were older, or maybe their home is far away, so we do not know whatever the reasons, but these people were left behind. And so the landowner comes to the marketplace again and again, number of times, and he looks at them, he hires them. So something here is very, very unsettling, because all of us, I'm sure, most of us have some kind of background to this. Like, we could relate to the farming and the hiring and all of that. Like, do you see this kind of thing happening in your places, where your parents go and hire people at 5 o'clock in the evening and the work hour ends at 6 o'clock? Nobody does that. Nobody does that actually, because you hire people in the morning itself. You don't hire just 1 hour before the work hour ends, no. And so the question is, were these guys, the landowners, were they not smart enough? And you see all the parables of Jesus. Whenever Jesus gives an example, all the landowners were quite smart. So it is not like a non-smart landowner. Okay, and so he knows what he is doing. And so the question that could actually help us to understand what is actually creating, what's the background here that is actually making this or causing this. What happens in the ancient Israel, harvesting of the grapes was usually done probably around the end of September or at the beginning of October. Okay, end of September or the beginning of October. And the rains, the early rains, usually began from the mid of October. And so when the grapes were ripe or ready to be harvested, there is not much time to be harvested. Okay, there was not much time to be harvested, because if the rains begin, the grapes would spoil on the vine if they're not collected in time. Okay, so rain could be coming anytime, and so there was a real urgency to finish the work. So also you need to understand that they had no machines and all the other thing. They only have to be plucked by hands, right? And so there was definitely a great need for the workers over there. So he could have everyone, whatever he could find, whoever he could find, even if they could offer just only 1 hour. So in that case, you could ask, if he needed that many people, why can't he hire everybody in the morning itself? The thing is, there could be estimations, there could be calculations that were wrong. You expect these many people would be able to do the work, but at times they may not be able to do the work at a speed that the landowner was expecting. And so he understands that he needs more workers. Okay, and especially if you are a farmer, you can understand at times you could sense the rain is almost there. And so if you see that rain is about to come, and you need to get the harvest collected as quickly as possible, or even if it requires more work, you want to complete it on that day itself. Okay, because you never know if tomorrow there will be time to collect the grapes. Okay, so that's why he goes again and again to the marketplace to gather or to hire these laborers at different times, even almost to the point of 5 o'clock in the evening, because it is best to collect the remaining work, the remaining harvest today itself, rather than leave it and the rain may come and then they may spoil. Okay, so that was the context actually, and we do not know, but it is actually that the parable has actually connection to that grape harvesting time. Okay, so you could understand whatever that Jesus was telling, the number of high laborers or the times and all, it all makes sense in that particular context. Okay, so all these people go in to work, and the landowner needs to be somewhat a generous man. For the first one, he said a denarius, and all the other people, he did not really bargain, or he didn't really they had no negotiations and all. He just said, whatever is right, I'll give you, and they agreed. Probably these workers may have known the landowner to be an honorable man, and he might pay whatever is right. And so they didn't really have any terms, just they went to work. And so verse number 8, so when even was come, that is basically evening, the Lord of the vineyard saith unto his steward, call the laborers and give them their hire, beginning from the last unto the first. And when they came that were hired about the 11th hour, they received every man a penny. That is again a denarius. It's interesting that he clearly instructed the steward to start paying from the people who were hired at the last. Notice that these men had worked only 1 hour, and they are there standing at the line, the first to receive their pay. And so the steward began to distribute their pay, and they received a full day wage, that is a denarius. Okay, that is a penny. And so those who came early in the morning, you could see that they may be making their own calculations. See, these guys just worked only 1 hour and they received a full denarius. So definitely we worked 12 times more, or at least 11 times more, right? And so definitely we will have a more higher pay. They were thinking and they were waiting actually. Okay, so verse number 10. But when the first came, they supposed that, pay attention to the word, that they should have received more. They were thinking that they should have received more, and they likewise received every man a penny. And when they had received it, they murmured against the good man of the house, saying, these last have wrought but 1 hour. That means these last have worked only 1 hour, and you have made them equal unto us, who have borne the burden and the heat of the day. Like we worked all the day long, and these guys worked only for 1 hour, and then you're paying both of us the same. And so they are asking, how is that fair? Like we started early in the morning, we worked all the day long, and these guys came just only 1 hour and worked. How could you just pay both of us in the same way? Like for us a penny and for them a penny, a denarius is, how is that fair? Is their question. And so the landowner answers one of them and said, friend, I do thee no wrong. Dost not thou agree with me for a penny? Please remember that these guys, when they were hired early in the morning at 6 o'clock, they were very happy. They were very happy that they were hired for a penny. Because it's not usual, because a denarius or a penny is the wage that is given to a Roman soldier, not for a common laborer. And so they were very happy in the morning when they were hired. They thought that this landowner is quite a generous man. But when they saw others got 1 denarius, and they also got 1 denarius, everything changed for them. Their mood changed, and they were quite upset with the landowner. And they said, should have received more. It is not even expecting or being hopeful, almost like, no, there is you could see that they suppose that they should have received. That means it's almost becoming a demand. Like, we have a right to receive more, even though they were agreed to work for a denarius. So in verse number 14, you could say, the landowner says, take that, thine is, like whatever is yours, you please take it and go away. Or go your way. I will give unto this last, even as unto thee. So you could observe here the worker's sense of entitlement, that they were thinking that they should be paid more because they started working in the morning and all of that. So did the landowner cheat these 6 o'clock workers? Was there any cheating? He did not cheat. Was there any injustice? There was no injustice. There was no cheating. There was no injustice. But the only thing that you could see is that there is jealousy. That how these people who worked only 1 hour could be paid 1 denarius while we were working from morning, and then you pay us only 1 denarius, almost equal to, you're paying us same. So verse 15 it says, is it not lawful for me to do what I will with mine own? Is thine eye evil because I am good? The question here is, are you envious because I am generous? I did not do injustice to you. I did not cheat you. I paid you what you agreed for. And that was more than actually what you deserve, because you would not get paid typically 1 denarius for your work. Okay, and so you were happy in the morning, you agreed to work for that, but I have more money to give, and so I'm giving whatever I want to give to these people as well. But now you are unhappy with me because I'm being generous. I did not cheat you, I'm not unfair to you, I'm not showing any injustice to you, I'm only showing grace to these people. And in fact, I showed grace to you as well, because you are not supposed to receive 1 denarius, but I'm giving you 1 denarius. So, it all depends on how you see this entire thing. If you place yourself in the morning 6 o'clock workers' place, then you feel it is unfair. But if you place yourself in the late or evening workers, then you see it's completely grace. Okay, it all depends on the perspective here. Okay, so with that is it not lawful for me to do what I will with mine own? Is thine eye evil because I'm good? With that, Jesus ends the parable, and then he says, so the last shall be first, and the first last. The same thing actually was told just before the parable begins in 19th chapter. The last verse, but the order was reversed there. It said, in 19th, the last verse, it says, the first last and the last first. But here, so the last shall be first and the first last. It's the order is reversed here from when you compare both 19th chapter last verse and 20th chapter verse number 16. And so Peter and the disciples knew that they have given up a great deal definitely to follow Jesus. And probably most of us also probably left behind so many aspirations That so many things that you planned that you would like to do with your life, that you want to do this, do that, and all of that, but you let all of that and then you came here for the ministry. And so Peter wanted to know what they would get in return for their work unto the Lord. And so through this parable, Jesus assures Peter that they will be definitely rewarded. They will definitely be rewarded. But the point is, God may not reward as human beings expect. Are you understanding this? Definitely, God will reward, but the rewards will not be as human beings expect. The point is that God rewards on the principle of grace. He will never be less than fair, and God rewards and blesses according to His will and pleasure, not necessarily according to what we deserve. And if we think God's grace needs to be distributed fairly, we haven't understood grace at all. So under grace, we can't go to God complaining, don't I deserve better than this? Because God, if responds, does this mean that you really want me to give you what is fair, what you deserve? Then you could understand what we actually deserve. Because we deserve nothing. Everything that we have in our life is because of His grace. Okay, the workers that came early in the morning did not really understand that they were also shown grace in the morning. Okay, and so the landowner was not unfair, the landowner was not unjust, the landowner was not a cheat. He paid them whatever he promised them that he would. That was a gracious, generous offer compared to what everybody is paid, because others were paid only a fraction of denarius. Okay, and so God was showing grace to these laborers, so to these workers who came late. And the people there were envious because God was showing them the grace. Now, don't you understand that if they go home without the denarius, there may be children at home who will go without food that night? Because each day's expense is high. Each day's expense is earned through each day's work. So the landowner understands the needs of everybody, and then he provides to them based on what is needed, or based on whatever he felt that he would like to do, rather than counting the number of hours they have worked. Okay, and so we also might be expecting, Lord, I have done so many sacrifices, and so what will I get, whether in this life or in eternity? Like, what reward will I get? Will I get according to what I have sacrificed? Or will I get according to what I have performed? I would say probably no. Because God never pays anyone based on the performance. If God gives anybody, He always gives out of His grace. Because if He gives in the way of sense, the sense of fairness, like this is fair, in that case, we have nothing really to take from God. Okay, and so whether the workers in the morning or the workers who came late in the evening, you just compare, all have received grace from the landowner. And the call to serve, I would like you to reflect on this. The call to serve itself is the gift of grace. And the ability to serve God itself is the gift of grace. And every opportunity to serve God is a gift of His grace. And so God is a generous God. He doesn't deal with us in a transactional way where we say to God, I have done this and you do this for me. Okay, He never enters into a transactional relationship like a fair. I do this and you do this for me. Okay, He deals with us according to His grace. He's not like a boss who pays us based on our performance. Everything He gives, whether it is a salvation or the rewards promised in eternity, all come from His heart of love, not from something we have earned. As I said, whether it is salvation or even the rewards in the heaven, all of those are given because of His grace. Even the good works that we're able to do for Him now, even that, they're only possible because of His grace working in us. And the amazing thing is, God doesn't overlook even the smallest action done in faithfulness. Are you thinking that God will be unfair? God will ignore any of the sacrifices we make in our ministry and in our life? God is not going to ignore. God is never going to reward us less than what is fair. It's always going to be definitely more than what we deserve. But please understand, whatever that comes to us in our life, whether we are here on this earth or whether we are in heaven, it's always because of His grace, not because we have earned them, not because we have performed enough to receive those. It's purely according to, because of His grace. So nothing we do for Him is ever wasted or forgotten. And we should never feel entitled in our ministry that I deserve this. Lord, you did not do this for me. I deserve this. I deserve to be treated fairly. I deserve to be treated better than this. That is where the sense of entitlement. And you could see, like, when we have that, then there will be disappointments. The people who came last were so joyful because they had no expectations. They believed in the landowner, the master, and they came to work. And they were paid, and they were rejoicing in that. So we should never feel entitled in our ministries, because God does not owe us anything. The life itself is a gift of God, is a grace. The salvation is a grace, and the opportunity to serve Him is a grace. Ministry is a grace. God does not owe us anything, but we owe our everything. May God bless each of us. May I request Sir D.